Here we go, man. I'm pumped today. That's right. Mike is live. 12, 11, 10, 9. It's almost like auto racing here. Bingo. There we go. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It is March 2nd of 2022. 322022. That doesn't mean a darn thing in the world to me, other than it's March, probably warming up a little bit outside. So many things on the horizon, so many things that have taken place in the past. So darn exciting. Last night just happened to be one of those things. You know, it was a while that I did the podcast. I did it on Blog Talk Radio, did it on a weekly basis, every week for 5 years. Man, that was fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. Got a chance to meet so many people. Well, not face to face, not even by video for that fact, but just got a chance to interview people that were just amazing, truly amazing. Whoa, a couple of authors, worldwide sales, fantastic speakers, travel all around the world, even met the voice of Siri. That's right. There is actually a person behind that. There's an interesting story behind there too. It's got its own little twists and turns. I got all of that stuff on my blogtalkradio.com. You look up Brian Cohen. That was Strategies of Success. So we're going to put a link up for that, up on the website. But I learned an awful lot by doing that. How did I learn it? By doing it, really. Was invited in by Joanne Venezia. She was my original partner doing those shows. It was called Image Talk. That was a lot of fun. And then we split apart. That's an overstatement. Oh, there we go. We can get rid of this photo right now. There we go. We'll put the tomato back. And I'm going to talk about Shlomi. What a great guy. Another learning experience. But Joanne had asked me about doing Image Talk with her. I was like, sure. And then the two of us did it together. We did it together. I did the intro. We both kind of took turns, I guess, doing the outro on it, depending upon how long the questions went. But a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I learned an awful lot about what timing was all about. I learned a lot about doing the intro, how to get everybody excited about the guest, which I've explained that a couple of other places when you're going to be introducing somebody, or if you are introducing somebody else to take the stage, how important that role is. Very important. Actually, it's incredibly important because you are the one that's going to get everybody all excited about whoever the speaker is, that kind of thing. And some audiences are easier than others, et cetera. But but it's there. But I learned a lot by doing that Blog Talk Radio show. And the thing with that is that there was always setting up the show in advance, and it was always a matter of putting it out there, on Blog Talk. And I was not really that big doing Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the rest of those things at the time. To just put it out there. Still got thousands of people that watched that show over the years. Thousands. Really amazing. I went back and looked at it. I was like, I didn't know. But I was actually reminded about that yesterday. So Shlomi gave his presentation at the Village Kabbat over at Stony Brook. It was so good. It just really was. And given the fact that he was wearing a blue jacket too, I was like, it can't be all that bad. And today is the one day I don't wear it. Whatever. I got the photo up there. But he spoke about his journey. His journey. Yes, the journeys to Saudi Arabia. Yes, the journey to Iraq. Yes, the journey to a few places that are like, really? What were you thinking? Well, what he was thinking about was the opportunities that were presented to him because of other situations that were there. And then his inquisitive mind just kept pushing things along, and he wanted to know, and he wanted to experience it, he wanted to be there. And he also had the message delivered too, being a Hasidic Jew, payas and all, constantly wearing the yarmulke, constantly going, the payas is out there. The tzitzit, that's the, you would see the strings, the white strings with a blue thread in there that you'd see on many of the Orthodox Jews. Sometimes you see it, sometimes not. But he was out there, and he just was proudly out there, proudly as a Jew, and doing it. And you might think that, that's kind of takes, I'm going to phrase this properly, takes a high level of confidence to do that. And it certainly does, because some of the areas he went to were not exactly friendly toward, well, toward Americans, toward Jews, towards a lot of different people other than their own community. In fact, he even has a story where he met some folks some from ISIS. I mean, really, that was an extreme story. You got to find these stuff on his find these videos to do that. But the thing that really drove me yesterday, besides the fact that he's very proud Jew, and he was very proud to talk about that, he was very proud to show that wherever he went, not hiding it at all. And the more he brought it out, the more people were impressed by that. That was amazing. And it's his confidence level, that was really so unbelievable. His confidence, and not being cocky confident, not going at things, oh, I'm invincible or anything like that, but just really being confident in himself. And if there's anything that I took away from yesterday's presentation, it was that. It really was. It was a matter of being confident in you, confident in your own decisions, confident in your own being, confident in the fact that you don't have to follow the crowd all the time. And sometimes it pays not to follow the crowd. Boy, was that spoken about yesterday. You know, the story you gave on that one was had to do with Saudi Arabia. And well, I'm not going to give it away. You got to go. You have to go to his YouTube page to go watch all that stuff. But right place, right time. Was he lucky doing that stuff? No, no. It's not luck. It's a matter of putting yourself in the right spot or having some assistance from above to help you be in the right spot. Depends upon your belief system on that one. But regardless of your belief system, regardless of wherever you're coming from on that one, whether you do believe in your God, whether you do believe in the law of attraction, whether you do believe in anything, whatever it is, wherever you gain your confidence from, wherever you get it from, it has to come. It has to be there. It has to be there. That is what is going to drive you forward. And not only that, it'll create everything else, and it'll make everything else happen. And here's why. And I'll tie this in with what I put up on this thing about phone calls, and not getting phone calls back. That's all fine. Hey, Doug, good afternoon to you, my friend. It's always a pleasure. And we got to follow up with that thing we discussed, without a doubt. Talk about confidence. And that's some of the phone calls I made, by the way. But it's that confidence. Yeah, I made a whole bunch of phone calls earlier today. Whole bunch of phone calls. Actually learning how to keep track of all those phone calls, which would be nice. This way I can make follow-up phone calls with it. But who's going to call me back? I'd venture to say maybe not everybody, but 80%. My guess is more than likely it's going to be a higher number than that. You know why? Because I looked at things from their point of view, and that's really something to pay attention to. Who's going to call you back? Who's going to get in touch with you? Those that see their benefit in whatever that conversation is. So you could start up a conversation. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but this event is coming up. I think that would be something that would be an interest to you. Or I just met somebody I'd like to introduce you to. Or there's a possible business arrangement that we'd like to take a look at. This is what's happening, whatever it is. But it's not a matter of just saying these words. It's not a matter of just spitting out words. It's not a matter of standing in front of a crowd, an audience. It's just sharing content. Who cares? The people who care are the people that see what many of the folks saw in Shlomi as he's traveling the world. His confidence is yes, you need to have it. If he's not confident himself, why should I be? If you're not confident in you, why should I be? If I'm not able to hear that confidence, well, that's a sign. So there goes the phone call. All right. There goes the phone call. So when you're making these calls, make sure they're short and succinct. And some of mine get a little long. I need to shorten them up because it was oh, I'm so excited about this thing. Sometimes my excitement level gets a little bit too much. But bringing out that excitement is really important because people want to know. Everybody wants to be involved with somebody that's generating some kind of excitement along the way, some kind of excitement. And he did. Shlomi did. That's how I think he was able to meet so many people and get himself into and through some of these situations because he was excited, he was confident, he was excited, and he was sincere. Great things to take away. Great things to take away on any presentation that is, and more important than taking it away from a presentation, it's actually applying it in your own life and what you're doing. Hey, Doug, you know that, man, exactly from what it is you're doing. People see it. They see it, and they see that you're doing things for all the right reasons. And that's really great. So here's what I want to talk about. We're 11 minutes into it already. I got to put the clock a little bit more on this side, which I can do. I learned how to do that. I did a Toastmaster speech, and I put the clock up on the computer screen on the right hand side because that's where I'll be able to see it instead of having to glance over all the way over to the left and going, there it is. There is that thing. Oh, by the way, Yosemite. Hey, good to see you again over there. Rootin' tootin', rootin' tootin' Yosemite Sam. Ricochet Rabbit was the other guy I liked. Bing, 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 Ricochet Rabbit. God, love those things. Love those things. Hey, you want to talk about sincerity and tenacity and, sticking to his goals? That Wile E. Coyote. My gosh. Talk about a guy that doesn't know how to fail. Oh, he only knows how not to succeed time after time after time after time. But, man, he just keeps on going. Maybe that should be one of our own little mascots over here. Gonna wind up putting a whole lot of those 1970s, 60s, 70s, maybe 80s. I don't know if they were going that strong at that point in time. But all those cartoon characters, boy, there was something to say about a lot of those things. Violent bunch, definitely a violent bunch, but good bunch. I've always enjoyed those things. Oh, and then but can't forget about Speed Racer. So anyhow, here's what's going on. Let's get to it since we're about halfway through. Who did I make phone calls to? Well, some of them were just pure business calls. We can let that go. Those are the have to calls. How to do that? Got most of those phone calls back. We will definitely make a follow up on those. So if you owe me a phone call for a business perspective, got to do it. All right, but here's the other stuff that's going on. What? HIA, Hauppauge Industrial Association. Had a great conversation with somebody earlier about that whole thing. And this has to do with the panel discussions. So we're working through this idea of panel discussions, and that is to talk about the manufacturers, to talk about careers, to talk about the multitude of high level, good wage careers on Long Island with manufacturers and some of the other businesses that are right over here, and how the high school students can take full advantage of these things, besides internship programs and all the rest of that. So that's what we're focusing on, over there. If that's in your realm, whether it be on the business side of it, in other words, you're at a company, HR people, you got an interest in doing this thing, it's speaking to the high schoolers, and their representatives about how to do that, and to talk about some of these great careers that are right here on Long Island. Hey, man, let us know. It's all good. School representatives, that's another crowd. You're the audience in this case. Definitely want to chat with you about about this thing. What is it that you're really looking for from the business community? I can tell you the business community is looking for people that are totally engaged. How would they know that a student is totally engaged? My perspective on that one is by seeing what the students are doing. Oh, doesn't that come back to what we were talking about here? That confidence, sincerity, all the rest of that stuff, actions that people take. Yeah, there's a lot of things that the high school students can do today to bolster that resume, to bolster their story about why it is they're so fixated on getting into manufacturing or getting into the aerospace industry or getting into production of some sort, about getting into the IT system world, about going into the medical field, about going into whatever it may be. So there's the aspect of that one. So that's an important one that's coming up. So May 26th is the actual trade show. There is a Facebook group page that you could join for the HIA trade show, 34th annual one. So I'll put that up in the end over here. Or I'll put it up on the post a little bit later on. But so that's coming up. Trade show itself, free to attend as always. You got to register in advance, otherwise it's $10 at the door, and it is at the door, an actual physical door. So this is an in-person event at Suffolk Community College, Brentwood campus. So it should be great. The last year's event was October, hotels, Huntington Hilton, and it went over really well. It was a little bit scaled down because the facility is a little bit smaller. The Lineads, Long Island Needs a Drag Strip team, brought some of their cars. So we had we had one full-blown race car, that was down there, and then a few other cars that have been street cars, street legal cars, modified to increase their performance levels, and they raced at the track, not on the straight, race track, not straight. That's the website for the races out of Calverton. So that's something. And trying to make a connection over here, and I think we're going to be able to do that. Suffolk Community College, there is the key word on that one, which there's a whole number of phone calls I made on this one. But Suffolk Community College is actually the home of where the trade show is going to be. And also, the automotive program is a sponsor over at the drag strip. So the drag races are going to take place this year. And there's something like 24 different days, roughly, that will be racing at the EPCAL, the Calverton Executive Air Park. That's, of course, in Calverton. That would only make sense. And what that is, that's the old Grumman facility that was sold to the town of Riverhead, and it's in the process of being developed, but the runways are still there. There's two runways, a 6,000-foot runway and a 10,000-foot runway. Plenty of space for the drag races. So the drag races this year will be at the track or on those runways. It is an eighth of a mile track, drag strip, right? Eighth of a mile, have the concrete barriers up on both sides, have the Christmas tree, the lighting. This way the drivers know when to go. Full timing mechanisms. In fact, there's an upgraded timing mechanism this year from last year. They've invited me to do the announcing for this, so I'll be doing a good portion of the announcing throughout the days of this. So I'm very, very excited about that. Yes, made a few phone calls regarding that aspect of it too. Sponsorship possibilities are there quite a bit, whether it be at the track, maybe by voice also, but certainly at the track. You got these banners that'll be on the company banners will be on the barriers that are at the track, so that'd be for all the spectators to see, plus a whole number of other ways about going and doing that. And they've been very, very proactive with all the sponsors putting it up, on the website and the Facebook page. And I got to tell you, if you're looking at it from the sponsorship standpoint, so there's going to be about 2,500 people or so at the tracks each day, but there's something like 30,000 plus people on that Facebook group page. So there's a lot. It's an awful lot of folks that are here on Long Island. Not everybody is on Long Island, but a lot of folks on Long Island that are going to get a chance to see those posts, to get to see those logos that you'll have. So it's great. And is it just the racing community? No, 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 no. And this is the tie-in with the HIA, with the Hop Hog Industrial Association, and the tie-in with everything when it comes to this thing, is the fact that the racing community is out there. They're all for it. They would love to do this thing, love to make it permanent, all good. Eighth of a mile, fantastic. Could it go quarter mile? There's a whole bunch of could it goes, but it's an eighth of a mile track. It's local. What does that mean that it's local to them? Here's what it means. It means they don't have to travel to Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York to go race these cars. It also means that they have a track, a legal track, not street, but a legal track that they can take these cars to and run the cars on a safe setting, in a safe setting, where there's some safety issues that have to go along with it, but they're minor and they're important, so it just makes sense. You got concrete barriers, so if you do lose control of the car, look, things happen, but if you do lose control of the car, you're going to hit a concrete barrier that's smooth. You're not going to hit a fire hydrant, a telephone pole, another parked car, and could be worse, right? Nobody gonna get hurt, doing these things. You've got the safety equipment, so it's you. Maybe you have a passenger in the car. You got the helmet, seat belts, all the rest of that kind of stuff. You know what? So chances of getting hurt are minimal, really, really, really minimal. So much safer than racing it down on some street someplace. So that aspect of it is just really terrific. Plus, I get the chance to announce it. I think that's kind of fun too. But here's what's going on with that. So to tie in with the whole thing, right? And this is why I think it's so important with the Hauppauge Industrial Association, their event, the manufacturing committee, and the drag racing thing. All right. So the folks that race cars love it. That's great. It's over here. It's in their backyard. They don't have to go over the bridges to do these things. They don't have to take an entire weekend to go race the car a couple of times down the drag strip. They just bring it right out here. They drive wherever you're coming from on the island. You're driving an hour, 2 hours, as opposed to with a bridge and the expense and everything like that. So you could actually go out in the morning, you come home in the evening. Do that. You can bring the whole family. The costs that are associated with going out there versus the whole effort of going over the bridge with a trailer and spending the money on the tolls and all the rest of that stuff, big difference. Gas prices gone up too, so there's another little factor that gets tossed into that equation. But even without that, it's certainly there. So there's a win in that respect for the folks that are racing their cars. It's another win for the folks that have got the cars in their garage and they, don't really have the time to go that far. Now they could race out there, spend a half a day, a couple hours, whatever it is, all good. Make it work that way. But here's where the other aspect of the whole thing goes. One, wouldn't it be nice if it did have a positive impact on some of the illegal street racing that's taking place? Definitely would. So beat the heat. Those folks from down Florida, the Medley chapter of Beat the Heat, and these are former police officers that have modified cars, made them look like police cars. They bring them up here. You get a chance to race against them. If you beat them with your car on the track, you get a T-shirt that says "I beat the heat." Fantastic stuff. A lot more that goes into it than that, because you get the track side of it, but the Beat the Heat program is really designed to interact with the illegal street racers and bring them to a safer place doing their thing. Would it have a positive impact? I like to think it would. I'm not really in that world, so I don't know, but I think it would. One of the major news publications did a whole big story on that one, big video on that. I'd like to see if I could share that one, but at least I give you the link for it. I don't think I could play it on here, but I could certainly give you the link for that. So you got that aspect that maybe would have a positive impact on drunk driving. That's possible. Let's see if there's a race on a Friday or Saturday night, and everybody that would maybe, do that drinking, driving thing, go out there where there is no alcohol being served anyplace, and there is no alcohol being served anyplace during those races. Spectators alike. I got a sober crowd all night long too. So that could be an interesting one. So you've got that aspect of it, the police aspect of it, and I also think that given the fact that if you got police racing against some of the street racers, maybe that would just help community relations out quite a bit across the board, and maybe that would also encourage more people to get into automotive programs, which brings us back to our second phase of this whole thing. It's that vocational aspect of it. Well, we're back to that Hauppauge Industrial Association thing, aren't we? So I took a look at some of the skills that these students would learn if they're sitting in an automotive program inside of a high school, BOCES, Wilson Tech, Suffolk Community College. Oh, there you go. There's that word, Suffolk Community College, and the tie-in over there. Well, if they're in the automotive program and doing that, and they're learning how to read a blueprint, and they're learning how to work with metal, and they're learning how to work with electrical components and things like that, what does that really translate to? Well, help my guy out in the garage who's average age of the employees in the garage over there is definitely in the 60s. So maybe some new blood in some of these garages around the area. Maybe also some new technology. It seems that Tesla actually runs a paid internship program with Suffolk Community College. So now we've got new technologies being used inside the automotive program, and you walk out of that if you're lucky enough to be in that internship program. You walk out of that with basically your school is paid for, and you got a career starting with Tesla. Not the worst thing in the world, is it? But let's assume you don't really care about cars. You just wound up over there because you wound up over there. But you did find that you were very good with blueprints. Reading blueprints, that is a big time job description that I found in many other places. Let's assume that you really enjoyed welding. But not only you knew how to weld, but you knew how to weld properly. You knew how to weld artistically. Well, I could tell you that there is a handrail company in Smithtown. I don't know if they're hiring, but when they make metal handrails, those welds have to look good. That's on big pipes. What if you're really good working with very thin metal? Something tells me the aerospace industry might be of interest to you. You know, you got thin metals that are being worked on, aluminum, other kinds of metals that need to be welded together and need to be welded together properly, permanently, and a lot of times, if it's stuff that's out in the open, it's got to be done neatly too. That's a skill set, I am told, that is really unique and well compensated for. Hey, what about you folks here that like scuba diving? Well, we do live on an island, don't we? And there's a lot of water around us. I bet there's somebody that likes scuba diving that might like welding too. An underwater welder? Repairing some of these tunnels, bridges, stuff like that. Whatever else gets welded underwater, I don't really know, but big time career there too. Big time career. From possible drag racing? Yeah. I think the vocational aspects of this thing is phenomenal. And what I did find, there's a lot of other plastic companies, composites that are here. Wow, that could be really interesting. And who's going to decorate these cars? Who's going to paint these cars that are in the high schools? A lot of artists that perhaps need a little creative with that whole thing. And then, of course, hey, man, if you got a car, you got to take photos, right? You got to do photos or paintings, renderings of these cars. Make sure that it looks good. People know about it. Maybe even get some sponsors on those cars inside the high schools. Folks that donate in kind, donating different products and stuff like that. I know my friend Dennis did. Oceanside High School, they needed some stuff, and Dennis donated. He just flat out went down there, helped them out, gave them some stuff that that they needed. So many possibilities. So the vocational aspect of this whole idea of the HIA and the drag strip, really phenomenal. So I'm looking to help out any which way we possibly can in order to get that message out at the upcoming trade show and flip it around to make sure that there is a connection going back at the drag strip with the vocational side of this whole thing. That's good. So what do we have now? We've got the possibilities of reducing illegal street racing. We have the possibilities of the vocational aspect of it. And the most important thing is we have the possibility with so many of these things that are going on to get in front of our students and help them achieve a greater level of confidence in themselves. So when they get the opportunity to go out there and they get the opportunity to do something that's a little bit different, where they're standing out differently amongst their peers, amongst their friends, amongst their coworkers, amongst the other students, they have the confidence to go out there and do it. They have the confidence to be the first on the block, the first in their community to reach out and do something different. Yeah, Slummy did a lot of that. Traveled the whole entire world to do that. Fantastic stories. Follow them. But great stories happen right here too. They can happen right in our own backyard. We need to continue to make that happen. So it's our role to help facilitate that and to let these students know that anything is possible as long as they can have the confidence in themselves, figure out what it is that they're truly sincere about doing, figure out what they really, really, really want to do, what they're inherently good at, where they use that word just I do this thing just because I'm good at whatever it might be. If they can run with that, if they could take that through school, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, they go into college, they don't go to college, they go into a business, they get an internship someplace, they do anything. They go and they speak to the manufacturing committee over at the HIA and say, hey, I can now read blueprints. I can do all the rest of this stuff. Can I find a career, not just a job, but a career, in some of the manufacturing facilities, the automotive facilities, the transportation facilities, whatever it might be, over here on Long Island? The answer to that is yes. We just need to make it happen. We need to help them in any which way we possibly can. If you're interested in helping, just contact me, because this is something that we need to do, not only for our next generation of workers, our next generation of leaders, but we need to do it for all of us. It's a great place to live here on Long Island. We can make it even better. And how to do that? By making it better for everybody across the board. Hey, do what you do best. Speak well, speak often, and live inspired. People will notice. All right, Maestro, tomato music. Tomato music. There it is. There you go. 2 groups. All right, friends. Stay well.